Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a great day so far. Happy Friday. Boy, that just snuck up really quick now, didn't it? Yep, right out of nowhere. Came like clockwork, like it always does, and I'm never ready for it. I hope you guys have had a really good week, that you got loads of stuff done, and you're excited for the weekend. I am going to tag everyone. There we go. Since we got this new header, it's hard for me to find the tags all the time, but it's all good. So, yeah, today we are going to be doing the organizing inspiration I meant to do last Friday, but I was sick and I was unable to do it. So I appreciate you letting me postpone it till this week. So basically, if you're new, because we have quite a few new people here, although they're not in the Facebook group. So hashtag recording or replay, I guess that's what it is. Hashtag replay. So basically what organizing inspiration is, oh no, cancel that. This is not organizing inspiration. I'm sorry. This is a demo. My bad. We haven't had a demo in quite a long time. And I'm so used to saying organizing inspiration, but it's an organizing demo. So basically what that means is I'm going to be walking you through step by step on how to declutter, clean, and change up the layout so you can organize your refrigerator to match where you're at today with your life, with your family, with all the things, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I'm a super visual person, so I think it's easier when I see things being done, even though it's a slideshow and it's not a video or anything like that. It still helps me to visualize it better. I like to say I am visual to a fault because I really like to see things mapped out, right? So that's basically what this is. This is you kind of seeing a slideshow of how to tackle your refrigerator. Now, I know this was a project that we had last week. I believe it was last week. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because this week is the freezer. I know this was a project we had last week, but not everybody can get to the projects on time. So if you did not tackle your refrigerator, this is your step-by-step guide to get you to do that. Okay? All right. So let me set up. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to add this here, and we are going to make this nice and big so everybody can see it. Okay, so this is an organizing demo for the refrigerator. Okay, now remember, you don't have to stay for the whole thing because it's going to probably be a good 15 minutes for this video. The replay will be in the members hub this afternoon, so you can watch this whenever you're ready to work on your fridge. Okay, so first things first. Why do you need to organize your refrigerator? Well, here's the thing. Food's expensive, right? Especially now. I mean, I've noticed my own grocery budget has gone sky high, and I swear I am paying the same amount now than I was paying when my kids were little and there was more than just my husband and myself at home. And that can get a little bit frustrating when you're throwing out spoiled produce or, out of date food or leftovers that didn't get used up. That can get frustrating. So constantly staying on top of your refrigerator, keeping it organized, giving everything a specific home is going to eliminate a lot of the waste, and it's going to help you save money, which is always a really good reason to keep your fridge neat and tidy. So those show you the examples that I was just talking about. Also, healthier eating, right? If your refrigerator is neater, I can speak truth to this because I did a sugar detox like a week and a half ago, and the food I bought got buried behind eggs, and I forgot it was there, and I had to toss it. So that was a little bit annoying. So all that to say, guys, real life, real truth. This is exactly what I'm going through right now. And even I need a reminder of how important it is to have specific homes that are in line of sight so that I can see the food that I need to eat up. Okay. So what is the best way to organize? I have tried all different ways to organize my fridge. I love to try out new systems and routines just to see if there's something better than what I'm using. But for a refrigerator and for food, I always come back to the same thing, and that's categories. So whether you put categories in a container and label it, or you designate an area in the fridge as your specific category, categories are the easiest way to set things up, streamline your layout, and keep things neat and organized going forward. So the only thing you should have to do is a weekly reset before you go shopping. You should not have to do a major overhaul clean out like this, except seasonally when the fridge needs cleaned. Okay. So categories are not only helpful for keeping food in its place, it allows you to see what you have and what you need to purchase. It also helps very well if you have a dietary restriction, such as I'm not eating any sugar right now, and my husband is eating anything that is in his face. So we like to have categories in the fridge. He has his area, I have mine, and we stay away from each other's. Okay. All right, so if you're not sure what food categories to use, here are a few examples. Fruits, vegetables, or produce, you can keep them all together. Meat, dairy, drinks, condiments, dressings, butter, cheese, bread, sauces, snacks, cheeses, I already said cheeses, whatever else you could think of, desserts, dietary restrictive items, things like that, right? Those are your food categories. All that to say, this is a starting point list. Pause the video, write down the ones that pertain to you, and add a few more on that fit you specifically. Okay? All right. Now, here's the thing. I love to talk about layouts because layouts are going to help you keep everything where it belongs. Okay? Now, remember, and I'm going to mention this later on, the way you have your fridge set up now does not mean it needs to stay that way. My fridge, when we moved in, was a hot mess. I literally just shoved stuff in there, right? Because we were moving. I was stressed. I just wanted to get the food in the fridge, move on to the next unpacking job. So it sat that way for probably 3 to 4 months. And after throwing out produce because it was getting stuck in the back of the fridge, because you guys all know I have a much smaller fridge in this house, I decided I have to get things figured out. So I went through just a couple days ago and really streamlined the way my fridge is set up. So that top shelf, that's hard for my husband to see because he's really tall. That is my shelf. That's where I keep all of my food. I don't want him to touch. That bottom drawer or shelf on the door, that's hard for my husband to access. That's my shelf. That's where I keep all of my other food I don't want him to touch. And then we have an area just for drinks. And then we have an area just for my husband's stuff. We have a shelf just for my husband's stuff. Then a shelf for condiments, and then drinks, and then produce that we both eat. I only know it off the top of my head because I just did it, but it seems right now that this tends to be working out rather well. So you might have to, all that to say, whatever layout you have now can be changed. I want you to try a layout for this week. Give it a 7-day trial period. At the end of 7 days, see if it works. How do you know if it works? Well, if the layout is intact, meaning things are where they belong, that means it works. If you have stuff shoved into different areas, that means it doesn't work. And you need to be more intentional with where you're putting your things. Okay? All right. So the first thing that you want to do when you're working on any project, even when the refrigerator, is declutter. And people always say to me, wait, we're going to declutter food? Yes, decluttering your food is one of the most important steps that you want to do in any food storage area because things get opened and then they don't get used and they get outdated, expired, stale, all of the things, right? Finding those expiration dates is not easy to do. So that's not something we do every single time we use an item in our fridge. We trust that it's good. We use it and hope we don't get sick. Or is that just me? Maybe that's just me. But when you're doing a clean out like this, you're starting all over with a fresh, clean slate. You want to critique every single item in your fridge. And that's what you're going to do. So this was at my old house. This is when I took the pictures for the demo. And this is basically what my fridge looked like. No, it wasn't a super big mess, but it was chaotic enough that we were tossing food. So I knew this had to be organized. And basically the layout was what I changed the most when I did this project. So you can see the doors are a hot mess. You literally can't find anything. And it was a disaster. And the funny thing is, see what a mess this is here? Look what I have there. I have a jar of mayonnaise. Guess what? I have another jar of mayonnaise over here. So that's what happens when you're not organized. You overbuy, you have more than one item in the fridge and they don't both get used up and you either end up tossing one or two. Look, here's another one, you guys. I have 3. Okay. So that's why it's so important to have a specific home for all your things and be consistent with that home. Okay. All right. So here's how you're going to declutter. Now, remember, decluttering means getting rid of stuff, right? Deciding what's staying and deciding what's leaving. Sorting means putting items in where it belongs, in your sorting containers. Now, we're not going to have containers for this. We're going to do visual piles on a table or on a counter, but you're still going to be sorting. So the first thing we're going to do is declutter before we put the item down to sort, okay? So what that means is you're going to pick up the item. You're going to look at the expiration date, find it wherever it is, see where it is, see what the date is. If it's good, then it gets wiped off and cleaned and then set in the pile where it belongs. And remember, we already went over a few categories. I think I go over it again here in a minute, but you're going to be setting it on your table in an area. So if this is a condiment, you just started a condiment pile and all the rest of the condiments are going to go with your first friend here, right? If this is a block of cheese, oh, you just started your cheese pile and all the other cheeses are going to be grouped with this friend and so on. Okay. Remember, if you see an item that's expired and there isn't another item to replace it in your fridge, take 2 minutes, write it down on a Post-it note that you need to buy that the next time you're at the grocery store. That's just going to help you be efficient. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but it removes an entire step for the next time you go grocery shopping. You're going to keep doing this routine, removing every single item until your fridge is 100% empty. Okay? And as you're putting things down, you're going to be sorting them into categories as Post-it notes stick to my arm. And like I said, these are your categories, right? So if you're doing all the condiments, for example, you might want to categorize them down even further. Sweet condiments, savory condiments, sauces, things like that. It's not a requirement. It depends on how often you use these items, but it is an option if that's something that you want to do. Okay, so again, let's go over those sorting categories because this is an area where a lot of people get tripped up. So let's keep them basic. Dairy, that is your milk, that is your butter, that is your yogurt, that is your cheese, that is your cottage cheese, your sour cream, that's all of your dairy. Put that into one area. You can make those into more specific categories if you would like, but for now, keep it general. Then you have your bread. I did not know that when you get older, you don't eat as much bread as you do as when you're a kid, and bread lasts longer in the fridge. So yeah, we have a lot of bread in our refrigerator. Then you have your condiments. That includes all of them, sweet, savory sauces, all of them. Then you have your leftovers. Every fridge probably has leftovers, so you want your leftover pile. Then you have your drinks. That would be your water, your soda, your juices, all of those things, protein drinks, all of that. Then you have your sauces. If you don't have that included with your condiments, you might have separate sauces. Your produce, which is fruits and vegetables, and your meats, anything that is waiting to be cooked for this evening's dinner, or cold cuts. Okay, and that's all of your categories. Again, you can always take them down to a more minute category selection, but I think in the beginning, general is going to be a better friend. Okay, now you got to work quick, guys, because we're working on a fridge. So now that everything's empty, we're going to get in there and we're going to clean it. Now, depending on the last time you cleaned it is going to determine how thorough you get. So if you just cleaned your refrigerator a couple of weeks or even a month ago, just wipe it all down. Just make sure you get the top, the bottom, the side, spider, the back, all of the areas. Get the seal around the door, get the shelves, get it all. Be thorough so you know that this project is done until spring. Now, if you have not cleaned your refrigerator, you're going to want to empty everything, remove the drawers, remove the shelves, wash them really good in your kitchen sink. If it's large, go to your garage or basement utility sink, wash it there, get it completely cleaned out. The good news is if you remove the shelves in the drawers, you can completely change the layout because you are really, truly starting from scratch. All right, everything is emptied. This is my fridge back at the other house. Everything is emptied. I have a clean slate. Everything has been wiped down. I'm all ready to go. So what's next? Well, we're going to organize. This is the best part. This is the most fun. But real quick, I want to have a spoiler alert for you. Listen, you guys. You do not need to purchase organizers for your refrigerator. You can use anything that you have lying around your home. I don't care if it's a cardboard box. I don't care if it's duct tape on a shelf marking an area. I don't care if it's a Lazy Susan down from your pantry that hasn't been used. You can use what you already have. If you want to buy organizers, let that be the reward once you solidify a new layout and a new category locations. Just because it looks good on Instagram doesn't mean it will work for you. I don't know who needs to hear that. That's something that needs to go into Facebook. I probably need to hear that because I get suckered in all the time. I'm watching Instagram reels. Somebody opens this beautiful organizer and they're so happy. It solved all their problems. It completely decluttered their entire room. And I buy it and I use it and I don't like it and I donate it. It's a routine I had done over and over and over again. And if you want to know about my story, join me for my live tomorrow in the free Facebook group. Sorry, just a side note. Okay. So this is what it looked like, you guys, back then. As you can see, I bought almost every single organizer there was. I thought these were the greatest things ever when I first bought them. Ask me how many I am using right now. Big old goose egg, not a single one. Why? Because it was more work than it was help. In this smaller refrigerator, containers take up space. I use one basket to keep my smoothie ingredients in. That is it. I don't use anything else. I use locations to keep things that belong in my fridge. I use areas as my category boundaries, if that makes sense. That doesn't mean you don't need to use containers. You can use containers. If that's what motivates you to keep things put away, by all means, you do you. I'm just here to share a different story, another side of the coin, to let you know that one way isn't the only way. There are other ways. Okay. Oh, this is something that I bought that I hated the day I bought it. And I know people love these, but I don't. And here's why. First of all, I don't like the lid. If you like to stack things on top of your eggs because you don't have a lot of space, you might like the lid. But I eat eggs every single day, so I don't want the lid. I'm not going to stack anything on it. I want it to come in quick and go out. I don't want a lid. I want it to be easy, right? But here's the problem. If you buy anything other than a small egg, you cannot get them back out of this container. So if you buy a store-bought container, you know, the container the eggs come in, you could push that bottom up and grab the egg, right? Super simple, super easy. But in this hard acrylic container, you cannot do that. So I literally have to figure out how to get the egg out. And if it's wet and it's sweaty from the refrigerator, my fingers slip right off of it. I got rid of this thing right away. It didn't make any sense to me. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get it. I'm just showing you another side to the coin. Okay. When you're organizing, the number one rule, I don't care if you're in a dresser, a closet, an office, a kitchen, or a refrigerator. The goal of organizing is to keep like items together, because that is going to help you put your things away, all the way away, and find what you need as you're cooking. So if you spread condiments all over your fridge and you don't keep them all together, you're going to have to search your fridge trying to find the condiment that you need for the meal that you're making. If, however, you keep all of your condiments on one shelf in the door or in one side of the door, then you've narrowed down that search significantly, making it easier for you to find the exact ingredient that you need to cook your food. Okay, so I just said this, so we're going to skip it. All right, so again, category ideas, I'm just repeating myself, but this was back in my other house when I like to use containers. I don't like to use them anymore. So yeah, that's what it looked like. And if you're using containers, make sure you fill everything back up. Your fridge should be dry at this point. So now you can put like items in their own container and return them back inside of your refrigerator. And before you do that, you want to go through the layout of your fridge and make sure that you like the way things are set up. Sandy, I had that also, and my husband took it out, LOL. Yeah, probably why? Because you can't get the eggs out of it. It's very frustrating. And I mean, here's the thing. If you take the container out and remove the egg right away, you're going to be fine. But if you're like me, you take the egg container out and then you get distracted and you do something for 2 or 3 minutes. Next thing you know, all your eggs are have moisture on them from going from cold to warm, and you can't pick the egg up anymore. So there's that. All right. Remember, when you're doing your layout, you're going to start fresh. That means you do not have to keep the same exact layout that you had before. Go crazy. Instead of putting the drinks on the top shelf, put them on the second shelf and move that top shelf up and put your eggs and your butters up on that top shelf. Instead of keeping all of your yogurts down on the bottom, dedicate a doorway for your yogurt. So you can just open it, grab it, and shut it. Remember, you're looking for ease of use for the time of life you're in right now. So if you didn't used to drink smoothies before, but you're drinking them now, you might want to make an organized area front and center for all of your smoothie ingredients. So you just pull out a basket, everything's inside that you need, put the basket back, and you're done. Okay? That's why I always say, make sure you match the time of life you're in right now. Okay, if you would like to see a layout, here's an example of my beautiful large fridge from my other home. I do not have that big, large fridge now, but hey, we're making it work. So I kept my eggs on the top shelf, butter on the right, leftovers, eye level. My freezer was down here. So this was eye level for both my husband and myself. So when we opened that fridge, the very first thing we saw were the leftovers. That was our visual reminder to eat those babies before they went bad. Then we kept bread, then drinks because there's a lot more room here, then my smoothie ingredients because there was a lot more room here. We kept snacks that were for my husband on the left side, miscellaneous items, and crust wraps and lunch meat down below. This is a layout that we used for quite a while. Oh, we kept produce in the middle because I used those long washed and stackable containers, and I kept produce in the middle for here and here. This is a layout we used probably the last 6 or 7 months that we lived in the other house. And you know what? It was a big fridge. It worked perfect. Now we have this teeny tiny little fridge, and I have to get super creative. And no, I didn't take any pictures because I haven't found a solution yet. The one I just put in last week, it's still out to the jury as we decide whether or not that layout's going to work. How do you know if a layout works? You're not throwing food away that's spoiled, and things get put all the way away. So remember the 2 criteria. Okay, so this was the end result of my refrigerator back home. Once I used containers, got everything its own location, and put it front and center where I needed it. We just put produce here. I didn't have leftovers for this demo shot, but you can basically get the idea. It's neat, it's organized, it's tidy, it works. Okay, I just like to show this one example because the extras, there's one thing in my fridge right now that was in my fridge at my other house that might be in your fridge as well. And those are condiments. And I'm going to show you that real quick. Condiments. Oh my gosh, you guys, we just threw them in the door. Literally just threw them in the door. There's no way that I could find back then to organize condiments until I found these teeny tiny little organizers. When I bought that organizing set, I'm like, what are these little containers for? And I thought, oh my gosh, that'll be perfect for condiments. My husband could take the whole container with his leftovers to work, pull out the condiments he needed, bring it back home, and put it back in the fridge. This worked out really, really well and made sure that the condiments got used up in a timely manner. So these small containers worked well. You don't have containers, just use a Ziploc bag. That's what I'm using now because these containers don't fit in my fridge. I have a Ziploc bag of condiments, and when my husband takes a lunch to work, he can take the whole Ziploc bag, use what he needs at work, and then bring it back home. So that's how we make that work. Okay, so we went from this hot mess in our fridge to this. Super organized, super neat and tidy. Love it. And that's what it looked like inside of my fridge door. Oh my gosh, you guys, I miss that fridge so much. Isn't it pretty? It looks so nice. Okay, so here's a before and after because y'all know I'm a super visual person. I like to see them side by side. So here is a before and after. So this is the before, and here is the after. Okay, so you see I have this little note down here that says save labels for later. Why, Tracy, must we save our labels for later? Well, here's the deal. Odds are if this is your first time switching up the layout, it's not going to stick. You're not going to like it. Something's going to need to be changed. And if you're putting labels on all your containers, on your shelves, on the doors, on these sides right here, you don't want to have to peel them off and use them. So I would wait at least a week, if not 10 to 14 days before you label the inside of your fridge. I like using labels. It is very important to me that I use labels because it not only reminds me where I put things, but it reminds my husband, who's notorious for just throwing stuff in the fridge. So this encourages him to put things away. My label maker gets used at least once a week, even though I've been in this house since March. It gets used once a week. Okay, that is it. So let me come back over here so I can see you, which I technically can't, but I'm still going to say that. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you're encouraged to get your refrigerator cleaned, decluttered, organized, all the things. If you need a Saturday project, this is a perfect project to do. Even if you have not done your refrigerator before, it shouldn't take you longer than a half an hour. And that is something anyone can tuck into their day, no matter how busy you are. All right, you guys, that is it for this week. I will be back on Monday with a meal planning webinar just for paid members. That is you. If you're watching this right now, that is you. Make sure you mark your calendar for 11 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. If you can't make it, don't worry. The replays are always in the Members Hub. You can watch them at your convenience. It's just more fun live when I have a lot of my friends here hanging out with me. All right, you guys, I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. As always, take care and happy decluttering. Bye, everybody.